So I've been home for somewhere about 3.5 weeks since completing my AT thru hike, and I said that I was going to do a gear video about what I used and what worked for me, and to hopefully help some other people out there who might be planning a thru hike and looking for gear and suggestions as to what works and what didn't. Of course, this is just what worked for me. I'm by no stretch of the imagination an expert on any of this. I've never actually done a thru hike or long distance hiking prior to completing my thru, and I hadn't been camping since I was probably a Boy Scout, so I can't say that I'm an expert by any stretch. But this is the stuff that worked for me. I did a lot of research before I went, and I think I made some pretty decent choices. So kind of break this video into about 4 different sections, about the big 4, and then the clothing I used, and then my cooking stuff and food, and then all the other junk that I brought along with me. I was by no means a gram weenie either, so I took weight into consideration, but it wasn't the end all and be all of everything that I did. So I did sacrifice weight at some points for comfort. But to start with, the biggest thing I used was my pack, which is here. This is a Hyper Light Mountain Gear Wind Rider 2400. It's 40 liters. It's on the small side. When I started, I actually bought this first, and then I found all of my other gear to fit into this bag. Worked really well. It's made out of carbon fiber. It's pretty lightweight. It only weighs about 28 ounces. Survived being dragged up in the forest by a bear, which was good. Was easily repaired using some Gorilla Tape or duct tape. Worked really well. Waterproof, so I didn't have to worry about a pack cover, which is kind of nice. It's not submersible either, though, so you can't take it and go aqua blazing and expect it to survive and not get wet inside, because there are some access points. But worked really well. Didn't smell very bad. The shoulder straps kind of got a little stinky here and there, but I had a nice wide belt. Worked great, super lightweight. I had no complaints with it. So that's what I used. Didn't see a whole lot of these out there on the trail at all. You see mostly ospreys, but this is what worked for me. I did line it with a trash compactor bag just to keep my sleeping quilt and my clothes dry, just as a secondary precaution. But that's what it got stuffed into my trash compactor. But great bag, worked really well. I was really happy with it. After that came my tent. This is a Hyper Light Mountain Gear tent. It's the Echo 1. Only weighs about 23 ounces, all said and done. Kind of packs in really nice and small. It can be set up in a number of different ways. You can use it just as a tarp, or you can use it as with the bug net and the tarp, or you can just use it as a combination with all three. Has a range fly and all that good stuff. I carried all my tent stakes inside with it. I did buy these separately. These were either from Z-Packs, I believe is where I got these. These are just titanium little tent stakes. It worked really well for me. Again, it's made out of carbon fiber, super lightweight, waterproof. Zippers performed really well. If there was one downside to it, it would be the doghouse entrance. Got a little old after a while, had to climb in and out that way. Would have been nice to have a side entrance to get in and out. But it worked. It's not freestanding, so I did need to have my trekking poles in order to stand it up and get it up and operating. Had to be staked down. Wasn't too bad. There were a couple times and stuff where I had to sleep on platforms. I had no problem getting it set up on a platform and getting it going. And it worked really well. I was really happy with it. No condensation problems or anything like that, so the inside didn't get wet. I slept in it in the rain several times. Never had a problem with anything inside getting wet. It has a nice deep bathtub floor, so I was really happy with it. You can see in my other videos, you can see what it looks like when it's all set up. So that was that. Along with that, I also did have a Tyvek ground sheet that I just cut and made on my own. I did add little grommets in the corners and stuff, so I was able to spread this out first. I was able to make a footprint for myself, and I knew exactly where my tent would go. Use this just as a precaution to keep things from puncturing the bottom of my tent, and rocks and sticks and that kind of thing. Worked really well. Threw this in the washing machine before I went out and softened it really nicely. Carried this on the outside of my pack all the time. Also would use this occasionally stuff, just lay down like in a meadow if I was going to have lunch or something. It was just a nice little ground cloth to have. So kind of recommend that. Weighs nothing too. Let's get that for a minute. Sleeping pad was a Thermarest Neo Air inflatable. Worked really well. Didn't have any problems with any punctures or holes or anything like that. Super lightweight again. It's about 12 ounces. It's a little noisy, a little crinkly and stuff, which it did lessen the crinkles and stuff and the noise and stuff as it went on, and it got softer. But initially it was a little loud and stuff, so when you're sleeping in a shelter or that kind of thing, it might have annoyed some other people. Worked really well towards the end there and stuff. I had to blow it up maybe a little bit more there towards the end. Started losing a little bit of air, but nothing significant or serious. Really comfortable, fit me really well. Again, didn't see too many of these out there. Saw mostly egg carton style sleeping pads and other self-inflatables, but worked for me. I was really happy with it, and again, it kind of packed all compact in my pack and everything, and fit really well into my gear selection. And my quilt, I used a Catabatic 20-degree quilt. It's not a sleeping bag, it's actually a quilt. It's got a foot box in here at the bottom, so it doesn't zip all the way down. It did come with a system to attach this to my sleeping pad, but I never actually used it. I tend to be a tosser and a turner in the middle of the night, and I like to kick my legs out and from underneath my bag and stuff, so I went with a quilt for that very reason. This is their standard size, fit me really well. I was able to like get into the whole thing and cover my head and my shoulders and feel really comfortable with it. Was able to sit up Indian style or cross-legged in this as well, so there was plenty of room in it. I was able to shift the quilting down as I needed to for extra warmth, or to kick it off in order to make it a little bit cooler. I carried this the entire way. I didn't trade this out for a lighter bag at all. I found that most nights, almost every night out on the trail and stuff, I actually had this with me, and would find myself in it come morning. It got pretty chilly. Keep in mind that I had a pretty late start of April 27th, but even so, I had a lot of cool nights, and was glad I had this with me. Didn't really find it necessary to trade it out for anything lighter, so I was glad I had it. Works really well. It is down. Never got wet. I did carry a compression sack with me that I stuffed it in as well to keep it compressed and fit in my pack really well. Didn't do any damage to it as far as having it compressed and everything. I know a lot of people just stuff their sleeping bags or their quilts into the bottom of their bags and stuff, and they kind of throw everything else on top of that. I found it easier to have something to stick it in and then compress it down and squeeze it into my bag. But worked really well. Highly recommend it. It's from a company in Colorado, and they seem to know what they're doing, so I was really pleased with it. So clothing breaks down into two different categories within itself. My everyday clothes that I would wear while I was hiking all the time, and then my sleeping gear that gets stuffed at the bottom of my pack that I would not allow to get wet under any circumstances. So the stuff I wear every day, it's pretty basic stuff, starting from the bottom up, I guess. Two pairs of socks. These are Darn Toughs. They live up to their name. They lasted the entire trip, the two pairs that I had. Never got any holes. Lasted unbelievably well. They do have a guarantee on them as well that if they start wearing out, they'll replace them for free. After 2,000 plus miles, held up without any problems and stuff. Great socks. Shorts. Just a simple pair of convertible zippered leg shorts that I used. Got these from REI. Not sure what the brand is. They're just an off-brand of, what are they? White Sierra shorts. Worked really well, lightweight, lots of pockets. They did start to get little holes and stuff in the back as time went on. I would just sew those up as they occurred. Again, the legs would zipper off. I never actually used the legs. I only wore the shorts the entire time. And no complaints. Got these on discount. They were last year's model and stuff, so they were great. They worked really well. I did have to buy a separate belt. This is a huge utility cargo kind of belt. The original belt that came with it kept slipping, and then my pants would fall down, and that wasn't really attractive. And so got a new belt. This worked really well. It was adjustable and stuff because as I lost weight, I was able to, make it tighter than one else, and that was great. So those are shorts. Shirts. These probably look very familiar to you. Had two shirts. These are icebreaker t-shirts made out of wool. Everybody kind of gets a little freaky about wool and stuff because they think it's going to be itchy. These are not itchy. Super thin, super lightweight. Lasted the entire trip. My black one, I wore about 95% of the time, I think, or thereabouts. It did start to get a couple holes and stuff where my buckles would snap across my chest and around my waist. But it still lasted the entire trip. Never stunk, never smelled. Wool is, an odor-resistant fabric. A lot better than the technical tees that were out there. Many people and stuff that I ran into and stuff commented that I didn't stink. My pack smelled, so there's a difference. But if I didn't have my pack with me, didn't matter how long I'd been hiking, I didn't smell with the shirts on. And easy to wash, easy to care for, compact, really small in my pack. So that was great. Then underwear. I had two different kinds of underwear. I had some icebreaker shorts here, again made out of wool, so they didn't stink. Super lightweight, compact, really small, easy to take care of. Never had any problems with them. They did ride up here and there and stuff. These are a little bit short in the leg, but that's just a personal thing. I had no complaints about these. Again, didn't stink, didn't smell, easy to take care of, easy to wash. But I also did pick up in Washington, D.C. a pair of, these are Under Armour's. These are synthetic boxer brief shorts that worked really well when it was humid outside. Helped keep the chafing down a little bit and stuff, particularly when it was really humid or wet. So I ended up carrying 3 pairs of underwear with me, so I had these along the way, and then I also had my 2 pair of icebreakers. Worked out really well. I had no complaints about that. And then, just as an extra here, I did have a kilt with me for part of the time. I ended up accidentally leaving it behind and stuff when I came home. I unpacked my pack a little bit and stuff and just ended up on the washing machine. Loved the kilt. I actually really liked hiking in the kilt. Would create a nice little breeze and stuff in your under region and stuff, and that was nice. And again, it was great when it was really humid out because it would keep chafing down. Allow a lot of freedom of movement. Just had to be a little careful and stuff when you're going up rocks and stuff and there was people behind you because you didn't want to have to flash them. But really like the kilt, and I'll continue hiking in a kilt as time goes on. After that, I had some other clothes that I carried with me. This is my Townie shirt. This is a cool shirt, K-U-H-L. It's the brand. Compacted, really small. I mean, I could fold it really tight and stuff, and could just stuff it in my pack. Didn't wrinkle, which was great, so I could unpack it really fast and stuff and walk around town and stuff and not have a problem. It was nice having a shirt like this to get into when you were in town and stuff. You didn't look so hikery if that's a word. And worked really great as a town shirt. You know, you could wear this stuff like when you go into town and into a city, or a lot of people would change into them after at the trailhead when you're trying to hitch. You don't want to look so dirty. But really liked it. I actually had two of these. I lost one of them back in Hot Springs, North Carolina. Not sure what I did with it. So my friends shipped me out a second one, carried it the rest of the way. I'll still wear this in my regular life too now, since I'm home, but it's a great shirt. All that, the stuff that I wasn't wearing would get stuffed into a homemade Cuban fiber sack that I made. It did actually all stuff into here. It's amazing how much stuff you can get into these bags. So I would take that and, you know, one of my shirts, pairs of underwear I wasn't wearing, and stuff, and just get them all stuffed in. It worked really well. This would just go in the top of my pack. My rain gear. Rain gear was Montane Minimus rain gear. It's actually bike wear for cycling. I ordered this from London. So the zipper's on the wrong side, but it works really well. I actually ride a bike as well and stuff, so I have this on hand. Great rain gear. It doesn't breathe really well, so it's certainly waterproof. Wore the jacket more than I ever wore the pants. I think I only wore the pants twice while I was actually hiking. Jacket got used more often as far as hiking was concerned, and then I wore both pieces and stuff when I would do laundry in town. That was probably the biggest use out of either one of these pieces, was while doing laundry. Kept them both stuffed in another homemade Cuban fiber sack that I would keep on the outside of my pack since it's rain gear. And worked really well. I was really happy with it. But more frequently what I would use was this. This is a Patagonia Houdini wind shirt. Stuff's down really small, it kind of folds into its own pocket, and but mostly I would actually just tie this onto the back of my pack if I wasn't wearing it. It's a water resistant, it's not waterproof, so it does have a saturation point where it'll actually start leaking. It was great to wear though, super lightweight, would keep me dry if it started sprinkling or raining for a little while. It breathes a little bit better than the actual rain gear that I have, so you didn't get quite so soaked underneath, at least not initially. But worked really well. It also worked great as a wind shirt, so if it was pretty windy out and stuff, and that would drop your temperature. Throw this on and stuff, it would raise your temperature as you start hiking again and stuff, and it was nice. Would also use it at night or in the evening when setting up camp just to keep mosquitoes and stuff off of me and stuff. It didn't really make you hot and sweaty or anything, so it was a great little piece of equipment that I had. My understanding is that they don't actually make this particular model anymore, but I'm sure there's something else similar to it. Again, I had this actually on hand. I use this for running as well when I go jogging and running out in the rain, so had this on hand probably before starting my hike. After that, I'll just show these real quick. These are my shoes. These are my Vivo barefoot shoes. These are my camp shoes that I used. And I also use these to cross streams. These are an old model, so got them pretty cheap. Most people use Crocs out on the trail, but most people carry some kind of a camp shoe with them and to cross creeks. These were my choice. Would just strap these to the top of my pack, not actually in or anything, and had no complaints. They were comfortable, and they could actually slip on and had a heel, and then just a quick tie down. After that, the clothes that I had would be the stuff that I would keep inside my pack and inside a compression sack that I would keep dry at all costs. That would also go in my trash compactor bag in the bottom of my pack. So within that, I would actually carry, let's see, a pair of wool socks. These are possum socks. These came down from Australia. Super thick, they're wool. They're part wool, part possum I don't know what they are exactly. My favorite part of the day, that would be slipping these on at the end of the night. I wore these almost the entire trip. There were a couple of really hot nights where I didn't put them on. But just kind of a luxury item. They were just super soft and stuff, and nothing felt better than to slip these onto your tired feet at the end of the day. So really enjoyed those. Long underwear. Again, these are Icebreaker, just a pair of long John underwear. I think these were 220s. I think so. They're not. They're pretty thin. They're not super thick. Again, I started pretty late, April 27th. I used these pretty much all the way up through North Carolina initially, and then I sent them home in Virginia. I had a top as well. The top is actually a smart wool top. Same, pretty much the same thing as the Icebreaker though. Pretty lightweight. Again, kept this up to Virginia and then sent it home, and then had them sent back out to me in, I believe I was in Vermont when they came back out. And never actually really used them again. I did use them a little on the whites, but I had a pretty warm summer hiking, so didn't really use them a whole lot at night, even after they got sent back out to me. The one piece of cotton I actually had with me was a cotton t-shirt. I slept in this at night. Again, it was just kind of a luxury item and stuff to slip into a piece of cotton. And at the end of the day, kept you cool at night, and didn't stink or anything like that. Instead, it was nice to just have something else to sleep in at the end of the day. And then, let's see, what else did I have here? Pair of running shorts. These got shipped out to me after I started a little bit. These are what I wore during the summer for the most part. Was a pair of running shorts. Again, I had these on hand. I do run. So, pretty simple, just sleep in. You know, lightweight, nothing really fancy about them, just a nice pair of running shorts. Beanie. This is the beanie I actually picked up at Mount Washington. This isn't the one I actually started with, but I did have a beanie with me for most of the way. I used it more frequently down in Georgia and then North Carolina and stuff initially. And then again up through the whites, I did wear a beanie for a little bit. Again, I had a pretty warm summer, so I didn't really need it. But just the other day and stuff, I was back up getting my cart in McAfee's Knob, and it was cold and stuff up in the 50s. So a beanie would have been nice to have. So definitely something to carry with you, I think. Compact's pretty small, just stuff in the back of your pack, and you're good to go. Better to have it, I think, than to not have it and really need it. Then a puffy jacket. This is from Eddie Bauer. Again, this will actually break down and stuff itself into its own pocket. Carried this the entire way with me too, even though it was probably overkill for most of the way. Used it mostly down in the south again when I started, and then again a little bit up in the north when it started getting cold and I lost a lot of weight. It's just really nice to have, kept it nice and warm, pretty lightweight. When I wasn't using it as a jacket, I'd actually keep it stuffed in the sack with all my other clothes that I wasn't wearing at the time, and use that as a pillow. So that worked really well. All that sleeping gear thing would get stuffed into just a plain old compression sack. I'd make a nice little ball and stuff, and this would get stuffed at the bottom of my pack in my trash compactor bag next to my sleeping, or my quilt in this compression sack, and then that would all get folded up and then just stuffed down there at the bottom. So that was predominantly the clothes that I took with me. Seems like a lot, but every piece I used pretty much on a regular daily basis. Cooking in water was pretty straightforward. I guess I can start with water. The water system was pretty simple. I used a Sawyer squeeze, just like this, and a bag like that. Works really well. The Sawyer squeeze isn't a horrible system. It got clogged pretty quick, so you have to back flush it quite often, or I found that I had to. My friend also built me an inline system with one of these with a Sawyer squeeze in there, which worked really well, so I didn't actually have to filter my water all the time. I could just fill up my bag and then drink it with a filter in place. Just kept it in a bag on the outside of my pack because obviously you're using it all the time. And then you had the back flush syringe there. Carried just a 1 liter platypus bag for my water needs. This is the one that I would drink out of all the time. This is my clean bag, and then I had just a hose hooked up to a bite valve at the end, and then I also would have, this is the line that I would have my Sawyer squeeze in the middle as well. But works really well. I found this better than having to use bottles all the time. I liked having it would just hang off my pack, and I could just get water as I needed to. Over time, you kind of learn to know exactly how much water you've drunk while you're hiking and how much you have left, and never ran out of water as far as being surprised that I was caught off guard not having any water on me. But that worked really well. I was really happy with it. I also used a combination of Aquamira tablets as well, and I filtered my water all the time. I treated it every time, except for I think maybe 4 or 5 times I didn't treat, and then I knew I was taking a calculated risk not doing that. I thought it was well worth it. I filtered everywhere, so streams and lakes and springs, everything. So that worked for me. My cook set like this. Pretty simple, pretty basic. It's just a little titanium cook set. This was a gift for me. A friend made a little cozy for this out of Reflectix. You can find this at any kind of hardware store. Just kind of make it yourself. It was an Evernew titanium 900 milliliter pot, which is perfect size for me. I did my meals every night using Ziploc freezer bags, 1-quart bags and stuff. So basically all I did was boil water at night and then pour it into a bag and then let it cook in there. This was the perfect little system for me within my pot here. So here's the bottom of my cozy. I would carry my alcohol stove. I used an alcohol stove. I didn't use a canister stove. Although the canister stove now, it seems to be the most popular thing on the trail. I was the only one I actually saw using an alcohol stove. So take that for what it's worth. But all I was doing was boiling water too. I didn't mind the extra time that it took. I had no problem finding alcohol or denatured alcohol on the trail or heat. So I thought it was really great. Worked fine for me. I had no problems with it. Fire starter, obviously to start the alcohol stove. Just a little scraper. Again, I never actually cooked in my pot, so I really carried this probably for no reason. But if I were, I'd be able to clean out the corners really well. On the other side of this, I had a little can opener. Again, never really used it. All my food came out of a pouch or a box or something easy. I never actually ate anything out of a can. Spoon, a foldable spoon. I never actually really used this either. I carried it just as a spare, just to have on me and stuff and to keep the set together. But I actually used instead a little titanium spoon like this. This is by Sea to Summit, super lightweight. This came out to me on the trail. I asked for this to be sent to me. So my friend brought this out to me. Like this one better because I was able to get to the bottom of my bag and eat that way. This actually got strapped with a carabiner onto the outside of my pack, and that's where that got carried because it obviously wouldn't fit inside the pot. I used a click stand to set up my my stove in at night. Worked great as a little windscreen, and as far as the stove, and helped stabilize my pot on top of it. Just kind of goes together, and then you click it together. I really liked it. I like the combination. It's kind of a hybrid solution that I found for myself. It just kind of goes together like that. And within this, I put my alcohol stove, and then on top of all of that, I'll just throw my pot, which works really great. I did actually have another windscreen on top of that would sit on side or the outside of the click stand if it was needed. I only had to use that a couple of times where it was so windy that I felt that the windscreen was needed. And then I actually have the pot itself, which just like that. I had great luck with the handles and stuff not melting. A lot of other people had a similar pot like this, and they had the problems with the handles melting across and having difficulty with that. I didn't have that problem. Survived the bear. As you can see, it's a little dented now. I don't know if you can see that, where he chomped down on it. I'm still good enough to sit on my click stand though, and didn't have any problems with it. It's a little black on the bottom, as you can see and stuff. That was because I had to use rubbing alcohol for a little bit as my fuel source, because I couldn't find any other alcohol available in town one time. And within that, I just carried a little microfiber cloth. This was mostly just to dry out the pot and stuff, and clean anything up that I needed to, and just stuff it all in there. Then all that got stuffed into a stuff sack like that, and then carried in my pack. Alcohol, I actually carried a bottle of heat just like this. I carried the whole bottle, even if it wasn't heat that was in it. It was denatured alcohol. This was just my container that I carried things in. And then I found a little cap that would act as a little squeeze cap, so I didn't actually have to measure that. I could just squeeze it into my stove without wasting anything. It was a pretty simple solution for me, and had no complaints. It worked really great. Food sacks, I had these Outsack mesh bags, and then within that bag I actually put another stuff sack, and then carried all my food within that. I carried 2 of these with me. One was for breakfast and lunch, and then one for dinners and snacks. It worked really great for me as far as that was concerned, because instead of just one big food sack, to have the 2, because I was able to line them up next to each other, either vertically or horizontally, one on top of the other in my pack, depending upon how much food I was carrying with me at a given time. And I could pick out just the sack when I stopped for lunch and what I needed. I probably wouldn't do it any other way. Again, it worked well for me. I was able to hang these up at night and stuff. These didn't get chewed up by mice or vermin or anything else like that. Again, also survived, a bear getting into it and tearing it open. But so it's not exactly bear proof, but it worked. Really happy with it. Didn't see a whole lot of these out there, but they're super lightweight. They're not too expensive, so I think it was a good investment as far as that was concerned. So that just leaves all the other stuff that I brought with me, which encompasses just a lot of little bits and pieces of things and important things, but just bits and pieces that don't fit into any good category. So I guess I'll start with carabiners. I carried a lot of these with me. They were great for attaching things to the outside of my pack. Again, my pack was on the smaller side than most, so these were great to attach things if I needed to. Carried my spoon attached to one. They jingled and stuff, so they made some noise, and that was kind of fun. I could use them at the end of the day to obviously hang my bear bag. Could use a couple of these and stuff and run a stick between them and use it as a clothesline. That worked really well. There's just a lot of uses for them. Super lightweight, don't weigh anything. Just carried quite a few of these, and had no regrets about that. Folding bucket, controversial item. A lot of people say don't take one. I actually had this sent to me after I started hiking. I found it pretty useful. Folds down to nothing. It was nice being able to do just some laundry in camp really quick with a bucket like this and a little bit of soap. Just carry some water back to your campsite. Holds about a gallon of water. I liked it. I would probably do it again. The stuff I was to carry it. I didn't use it all the time, but again, I just used a carabiner. Attaches the outside of my pack. Doesn't weigh very much, and I thought it was well worth it. Bug net. Picked this up in Waynesboro, Virginia. Used it quite frequently through Massachusetts and Vermont. The mosquitoes started getting really bad, especially at night. The gnats are pretty nasty. Weighs absolutely nothing. If you start your trip with one in the beginning, don't let anybody talk you out of getting rid of it. You're going to need it at some point. Really liked it. Again, if I had started with it and stuff, I never would have gotten rid of it. Usually carried this in my pocket, actually in my pants. It's not in my pack because I was worried about tearing up the net itself, but super useful item. You could use it for a multitude of different things. You know, you could probably catch fish in it if you wanted to, or strain really dirty water of like big debris if you needed to. So multiple uses. Rucksack. Within my rucksack, I carried a special rock and then 50 feet of Dynaline here. Use it to hang my bear bag. If I wasn't using it for that, I would use it as a clothesline. Have again a carabiner tied onto the end of it. Worked really well, super slick. Never got tangled, never got knotted. Liked it, and I would keep it in my little, again, a homemade Cuban fiber little stuff sack here that carry rocking and throw that over a limb and hang my bag with. Oh, little shovel, this little titanium shovel to dig cat holes. A lot of people use either their trekking poles or tent stakes. My tent stakes were carried in my tent bag, which was carried in my pack, so that would have been a lot of work to, you know, dig that out. So I use this. It doesn't weigh anything. It's, you know, maybe, I don't know, a quarter of an ounce, if that. Works really well. It's got a nice little sharp edge at the end and stuff. Get through roots and whatnot else. You know, you need to dig your cat hole 6 feet, or not 6 feet, that'd be a little overkill. 6 inches deep in order to be within, you know, leave no trace guidelines. It's really hard to do that with trekking poles to get through roots and some hard clay and rocks and stuff. So I highly recommend that you carry something like this or a trowel. A lot of people complain about it because they think that it looks like you're a newbie or something like that, but again, it's not a big deal. This could also strap on the outside of my pack. It's got a hole at the end of it. I could have carabiner this on, but I just carried it on the outside of in one of the mesh pockets on my pack. Shoes. I don't have any of my shoes and stuff that I actually wore while I was hiking. I tossed them at the end of the hike because they were torn up. I went through a couple different kinds of pairs of shoes. I went through some Merrells. I went through Keens, off-brand Walmart pair, off-brand Kmart pair of Solomon running shoes or trail shoes that I picked up in Washington, D.C. And at the end, I was using Ultra trail shoes that I picked up in a hiking box. They all worked pretty much the same for me. I really liked the Merrells. I thought they were pretty great. They replaced them for me on trail for free because they started falling apart. Keens supposedly does the same kind of thing. The most important part of either one of those were the inserts that I used. These are Superfeet green inserts. These are used by almost every hiker out there anymore, seemingly. You take out the insoles of your shoes, throw these in. Probably the most important piece of gear that you might be able to carry are these. Again, they don't weigh anything. They help just give you extra support as far as carrying a pack and your weight and everything on, and as you're hiking. So really like these. Probably will never wear a pair of shoes again without them. So. Hiking wallet. This is my hiking wallet, which is basically just a Ziploc freezer bag. I would carry this in my front pocket with me. I would carry cash in this to keep it dry. I carry my actual wallet in it, like that. Just carried my license and 2 debit cards with me. I carried my Aqua water treatment tablets in here to keep them from corroding. It was just really handy. Kept any little business cards that I picked up as far as trail angles are concerned. Kept a pair of some stamps in here to mail things back to keep them dry. Also carried my pocket knife in my bag just so I didn't lose it. Again, my pants held up really well, but they did start developing holes in the pockets, so I didn't want to lose this. This was a gift, so I want to make sure I had it. Pretty basic pocket knife. It's really tiny. It's just a Swiss Army knife and stuff. It's got just a single blade, and then a pair of scissors, and a toothpick, and a pair of tweezers, and some scissors. I already said that, and a screwdriver. Super simple. Don't need anything probably more dramatic than this. Never used it for anything. I was able to slice through cantaloupe with this and used it for everything else, and never had any problems. Never found myself needing some huge knife or anything more significant than that. So worked perfect. That's my hacker wallet. I also carried anything else that I was really didn't want to lose or thought was important to me. Also carried in here somewhere. Where is it? My my half-gallon challenge spoon. It's lost in here somewhere. Oop, where is it? It's here somewhere. No, I can't find. Oh, there it is. So, still have that, which is just a little souvenir for me. What else did I carry? Let's see. Buff. Carried a buff with me. Wore this multiple times and stuff in the beginning, particularly. Great little piece of headgear to keep the sun off. You can use it around your neck. You can use it in different kinds of ways. Almost everybody carries one with you. You can use it as a rag. You can use it as a washcloth. It's just got a multitude of uses. It's a handy little thing. Doesn't weigh anything. Compact's really small. You can carry it with you. Also carried just a bandana with me. Similar to the buff and stuff, just a super piece of equipment. Has a number of uses that you can find for it. Used it primarily to wipe sweat off myself, or usually clean my legs at the end of the day, or just get it wet and stuff. I have a habit of kicking the backsides of my legs and getting them all muddy. It's great just to clean up at the end of the day. Wash yourself a little bit, wash mud off your face or under your pits and whatnot else and stuff, and just a handy piece of equipment. Take it to the laundry with you, throw it in there and stuff, just clean it up and stuff, and just carry this in my front pocket with me all the time. Just a great little piece of equipment to carry with you. Hat. This is the hat that made it with me the most of the way. Somehow I didn't lose this one. Use it to obviously keep sun off my head. I'm pretty thin up here on top, but more than that, I actually used it to keep ticks at bay. Ticks are one of those things that I really wanted to avoid if at all costs. I usually wear a hat all the time anyway. So I used this hat, I used a buff, I had a baseball hat for a little bit. Lost it somewhere along the way. But this is the one that I got probably most known for wearing while I was out on the trail. People recognized me by the hat, so that was kind of cool. Sit pad. This is just a little Z-Rest sit pad, a little square thing. This is just a smaller version of what a lot of people sleep on and use. Handy to throw on a rock and stuff and sit down. I usually put this outside the front of my tents to kneel on to get in and out. Got old man knees and stuff, and was happy to have this. Again, this just got carried on the outside of a pouch, or in a pouch on the outside of my pack, and was happy to have it. First aid gear, I carried all in my little pouch here. This little stuff sack. Carried a combination of things in here with it all. Pair of pantyhose. I actually used to carry this on the outside of my pack, just in the bottom of one of the outside pockets. Again, just a handy thing to have if you have this really dirty water to filter it out a little bit. Worked really well. Only used it a couple times, didn't really need it all that much, but it doesn't weigh anything, so it's not a waste. Within the first gear, I actually had a little tin here of first gear stuff with a rubber band. Has Band-Aids, some insect sting relief, some insect repellent. I also added some safety pins to here, and I think that's about all I added in here. Just found this at the store. This is by Coleman. It's a pretty cheap little thing. Just kept it together with a rubber band. Within this sack here and stuff, I just added a whole bunch of other stuff I found. Had an emergency poncho. I just picked this up at a shelter somewhere. I just carried it with me because in case I needed it. Some extra Band-Aids here. Needle and thread. Used this to start repairing my pants as they started getting holes in them. just kind of handy to have. A pair of tweezers I used primarily for tick removal and splinters and anything else that I came across. Didn't use them very often, but I was glad that I had them with me. I did have a tick key. I didn't have a whole lot of problems with ticks. I only had to use this once to get a tick off. I only had about 4 or 5 ticks on me that I ever found. Hopefully that was all there ever was. But you know, it worked really well. It did what it said it was going to do, and it helped remove a tick. Some moleskin for blisters I used. Some other just medications and stuff, some sting relief. A little bottle here of tincture of benzoin. I use this in combination with some leukotape that I had for blisters. I would use a cotton swab and just spread this across the blister. It's just a super sticky solution that helps adhere things to your skin. Worked really well. And then I would put either a piece of duct tape or my leukotape over top of that blister. And that tape wouldn't come off for about 6 or 7 days, even with sweating through your shoes and your socks and taking showers and crossing streams and everything else. Super great stuff. Highly recommend you pick up just a little container of it and sticking it in a container like this and using a cotton swab or Q-tip, just using it as needed. Just really glad I had it with me, and it's just a lifesaver as far as blisters were concerned, because duct tape just didn't really work real well, and nothing else really sticks terribly well to blisters and that skin when it gets wet. I also work with band-aids and everything else, and I was just really glad I had it. Found out about that early. Nail clippers. Nail clippers are pretty important. Your nails continue to grow and stuff. You want to keep them trimmed. Also toenails. Small pair of scissors that I brought with me that I picked up on the way and stuff, just to keep the beard groomed and mustache and stuff. It's just kind of handy to have. And then just some other stuff that I picked up along the way, some antihistamines. Medications were kept in a separate bag by themselves with my cotton swabs. I did carry a little thing of deodorant with me, just a little travel-sized deodorant thing. Didn't actually use it while I was actually hiking, but I used it when I was in town, just to feel a little bit more human. Doesn't weigh anything, kind of worth it. Here's my roll of leukotape. I did not carry this whole roll with me. I would just take some and stuff and wrap it around a pen and carry the pen with me. Again, it's just super sticky stuff. It's great. It's just kind of like duct tape as a medical tape. I wasn't able to find it in a store anywhere. I actually had to order it online. But it's just a great little thing to have. Again, using this in combination with the tincture of benzoin, it was great. Friction block. Obvious reasons to, when you start chafing and stuff, to use that. Didn't have to use it very often, but occasionally on the inner thighs and stuff, and when it's really humid out. Neosporin. Had to pick this up later on the way and stuff because I had a slightly infected cut. And a little overkill is pretty huge. And then that is all, and then that was all carried within just a stuff sack. Again, this is just a cuban fiber stack that I made myself. And then I actually stuffed that inside a separate waterproof sack on top of that. Electronics. Here's my medications. This is probably what I got known for as far as why I got the nickname Gadget. Watch. This is the Casio ProTech watch. This is a gift. Really love the watch. Used it all the time. What was super nice about it is that it has an altimeter on it and stuff, so you could actually tell about how high you were and how close you were to the top of that ridge, and or how much further you had to go down to get out of that ridge. It was a what's the word I'm looking for? It's solar powered, so I just have to charge it and stuff. You just have to kind of keep it on the sun. It worked really well. Never had any complaints with it. It works the entire time. It has an alarm on it. Umpteen different functions that I probably never figured out. Compass, temperature. It also has a barometer, so I could tell if a storm was coming or if it was imminent. Loved it. Wore it the entire time. Continued to wear it, and couldn't do without it. Oh golly. Let's see. Headphones. For the obvious reasons, for play music and whatnot else and have headphones with me. I carry 2 iPhones with me. I had a 4S and then a 5S. The 4S I use predominantly for music and to listen to podcasts and stuff. I get into town and download podcasts onto this one and listen to this, and then I would keep my 5S for taking videos and making phone calls and text messages and whatnot else, because it actually has service. Probably wouldn't do it any other way. I would carry this one in my left-hand pocket and carry my 5S and stuff in my right-hand pocket. And the combination of the two worked really well. I did carry this in a Ziploc bag as well, just to keep it dry, because I didn't have a case for this. My 5S, I did actually buy a life-proof new case for it. Worked really well. I was able to submerge it in water and stuff, never had any problems with it. I never worried about it getting dirty or broken. I dropped it umpteen times in rocks and it survived. So it worked really well. The only downside to it was that occasionally it would get a little foggy on where the camera was. So some of my videos came out a little bit dirty, but it worked really well. Charger. I'll come back to that one in a minute. Chargers. Well, okay, chargers. I actually ended up carrying 2 chargers with me. They're both RAV powers. This one is what I actually started with. It's a smaller one. The intent behind this one was to transfer pictures because it has its own Wi-Fi spot. I actually sent my big camera home at Neil's Gap, and I didn't carry it with me any further. Not because of the weight or anything like that, but because I just wasn't using it. I did keep this out to keep my phone charged. This only would charge it about twice before it would die. So later on I actually had another one sent out to me, another RAV power. This one would actually charge my phone about 8 times. Again, carrying the 2 different iPhones with me, I would have to power them quite frequently. My 5S, my phone, I would actually keep in airplane mode. It would last me about 4 days with use. Taking pictures and checking my guide. My guidebook, just FYI and stuff, I actually had the PDF version of AWOL's guide, and I never used the paper copy. I actually just used it on my phone, which worked fine by me. So that, in combination with one of these, I was easily able to make it between towns, between the 2 chargers, charging all my electronics and getting back and forth between the 2 phones, and actually an iPod on top of that, which is in here somewhere. And there it is, my iPod. And didn't have any difficulty. Again, a little bit of overkill. This is kind of heavy, but glad I had it with me. Chargers, obviously you need to charge those things, so they had the 2 separate chargers. These are little mini USB plugs, plus a plug-in that'll charge them both at the same time. Phone chargers, all that good stuff that you need to bring with you. Little tripod for my phone. My phone was carried within the case, and then within that case I actually had a little glyph to set it up on a tripod. That worked really well. Headlamp. This is a Zebralight headlamp. Had this prior to the hike. Used this for running. Works really well, super bright. When the battery's not dead. That is the one problem I had with it, is the batteries would go dead really quick. I only went night hiking about 3 or 4 times, so I didn't use it all that often. But I was glad I had it when I did go hiking, because it saved my rear end a couple times. Plug-in prong. This has 3 plug-ins. Excuse me. That you can then plug into an outlet or a strip. When you're at hostels and stuff, this is a lifesaver, because I was able to plug in all my electronics into this one plug without taking up the entire strip. Other hikers will be thankful that you have something like this with you. Doesn't weigh anything, doesn't take up any room. Found it really useful and a handy thing to have. Otherwise, the other stuff that was in here is pretty not significant. Here's my glyph that I was telling you about. This would be for my camera. This would hold my camera, and I could then screw in the tripod to it and then set that up. I also had a stick pick initially before I broke it, and which would stick on the end of my trekking pole, and then I could stick this on top of my camera and then use it to film myself going backwards. Batteries, just for my headlight. Carry some spares in there. Again, another charger for my iPhone. My stick pick, this is my stick pick. Just sticks on the end of your trekking pole at the end like that, and then you can set up your camera on top of that and film yourself backwards. And that was pretty much all that gear that would be carried in. Again, another dry sack to keep it dry and secure. Trekking poles. Needed my trekking poles to set up my tent. I started off with black diamond cork handle, Alpine trekking poles. Really like them. They've got the little locks, which kind of froze after a while. There we go. To adjust back and forth. As you may recall, I broke one of them when I was hiking through Pennsylvania. Replaced it with one from Walmart. This is $9. This also has a cork handle. This is a twist lock though, and I also fell with this a couple times. With this being aluminum, it did bend, and so it's never been perfectly straight, and after that the twist locks kind of got screwy. But for 10 bucks it lasted me all the way from Pennsylvania all the way to Maine, so I can't complain too much about the whole thing. It does need to be replaced. Again, this is predominantly just for the fact that I needed these for my tent. I did enjoy hiking with them. I never hiked with them before, doing the AT with hiking or trekking poles. They do save your knees quite a bit going on the downhill and stuff, and they're pretty helpful going on the uphill too. So most people have a pair out there on the trail. They're not necessary. You don't have to hike with them, but I found them pretty useful. Probably one of the most useful pieces of equipment that I ever carried were these Ziploc freezer bags. Again, I cooked in these every night. I would boil water, throw them in here, and then cook whatever I was cooking that night. Use these as waterproof sacks for all sorts of equipment. I mean, they're just invaluable. I did find that with boiling water that the Ziploc brand works better than, say, like Glad. The Glad bags, I did try them for a little bit and stuff, and they actually melted with hot water and boiling water being poured into them. Never had a problem with the Ziplocs. Again, I would carry these. I would carry all sorts of stuff in this on the outside of my pack if I didn't want it to get wet. Worked really great. Also carried straws with me. I have about a dozen straws at any given time. The straws were for protein shakes. They would go in my Ziploc bags. Shake them up with water. Take the straw, stick it in the bag, and it would be easily drunk rather than having to like slurp it out that way. Completely invaluable. Got to have the bag. Then the other thing that you would want to carry with you that I don't have here to show you would be I carried just a bottle of Gatorade, an empty bottle, small bottle of Gatorade. I used it predominantly just as a bottle to scoop water out of still streams or just really trickling streams or still water ponds, that kind of thing. You can actually take your water bag and submerge it. It won't actually fill up that way, so you would just take the water bottle and then fill up your squeeze bottle and then filter your water that way. I'm going to carry that on the outside of my pack. But that was my pack. That's everything that I carried. I didn't carry anything else with me. That was everything other than food, which I might do a separate video about food that I carried. My diet was really pretty boring though. But all said and done, with food and water and all my gear, I came in somewhere around 25, 26 pounds total. All my gear cost, as far as what I spent, not including stuff that was gifts, I personally spent around $2,700 for all my gear. Not including, again, things that I already previously owned or things that were given to me as gifts. So gear can be really expensive, but again, you can make it as expensive or as cheap as you want to make it. I went pretty lightweight because I didn't want to carry all that extra bulk, and I was able to afford some lighter weight gear. Not everybody can do that, but gear is the most important thing that you can have out there. don't worry too much about what other people are going to think about the gear that you're carrying. Nobody really cares, to be honest with you. You talk about it initially and stuff, and everybody wants to know what you're using and whatnot else, but nobody says anything about, well, gosh, that guy's using, crappy gear, or can't believe he's wearing that, or I can't believe anything like that. Nobody really says anything about that. All these choices are really personal. This is, again, just what worked for me. I did make it through the thru hike, so that's a plus. But these are just recommendations. Again, I'm not any expert by any stretch of the imagination. Part of me thinks that I was just really lucky in what I chose and that it worked. But the other part of me thinks that I did a pretty good job at doing the research in advance and making some pretty wise choices. And I hope this helps as you select your gear. And if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. But I hope that gives you some idea as to what it might take to use for gear to make a successful thru hike.